Hello students, welcome to another short video on our Small Steps Good Grade Secondary Science program. Today we are going to do chemistry qualitative analysis and we are going to do some Small Steps Good Grades micro lessons questions. So let's go. The first question is, white powder A reacts with HCl to produce a colorless solution E and colorless gas D. D is denser than air. Let's pause here for a while. When you read this part, you can actually make some notes. There are mainly two acid reactions that produce a gas. Acid react with carbonate that produce carbon dioxide, and acid reacts with matter that produce hydrogen. So when D is denser than air, it is carbon dioxide, as hydrogen is less dense than air. So if you know that this is carbon dioxide, we have one unknown out. And you will also have valuable information here. So this white powder A must be a carbonate because only carbonate reacts with acid to produce carbon dioxide. Let's move on. Colorless solution E then reacts with acidified silver nitrate, forming a white PPTB. Whenever you see this silver nitrate, it is a test for chloride ions, as all chlorides are soluble except silver chloride and lead chloride. So when we want to test for chloride ions, we will want to produce a PPT, an insoluble chloride. Hence, this precipitate B is silver chloride. And E will have the presence of chloride. And this is definitely true because when a solution E is produced from hydrochloric acid, it definitely will be something chloride. All right. Now, you don't know the metal ion for the chloride and for the white powder. Hence, you have to add sodium hydroxide to a sample of E. You see that a white precipitate C is formed and that C dissolved in excess aqueous hydroxide. And not only that, the same result is observed when aqueous ammonia is added to the sample of E. So there is only one white precipitate that dissolves both in sodium hydroxide and aqueous ammonia, and that is zinc, Zn2+. So now the metal ion is out, so colorless solution E will be zinc chloride and the white powder A will be zinc carbonate. Whenever sodium hydroxide or aqueous ammonia is added and any precipitate form, it can be a colored precipitate like a blue precipitate or a white precipitate, it will be a hydroxide. So for this case, it is zinc hydroxide. So a recap, when A plus hydrochloric acid, it will be a chloride form and we are given that it's less dense D. So D is carbon dioxide. A must be a carbonate. That's why I asked you to write down your notes. And we further use the chloride with silver nitrate. So definitely there will be a presence of chloride, right? And the white precipitate B will be silver chloride. After that, we want to find out the metal ion presence. So we will add sodium hydroxide and we discover that it is a white precipitate. For white precipitate, we actually have a few ions, which is zinc 2+, calcium 2+, aluminium 3+, and lead 2+. However, only zinc dissolves in excess sodium hydroxide and aqueous ammonia. Hence, we know that C is zinc hydroxide, E, which is the solution after the acid reaction, is zinc chloride. And finally, A is zinc carbonate. So we can actually break down a very complicated and long question with our notes, and after that, piece it up. This question may look difficult to you at the moment, but do try a few more times and you'll realize that you will get the flow of it. All right, because these are very common questions in the GCE O levels. Let's move on. The second question, metal A reacts with nitric acid to produce a colorless solution E. And the colorless solution E then reacts with aqueous sodium hydroxide to form an insoluble. The key here now is insoluble white precipitate. Now, there are 4 white precipitate, but only calcium is insoluble in sodium chloride. So I would like to write a calcium 2+ here. And if there is a calcium 2+ here, it means that colorless solution E also have calcium 2+. So you work back up. Now, when a metal A react with nitric acid, you will have something nitrate. So you put the nitrate here, all right? Another acid actually reacts with nitric acid too, but this time around, it produces B that gives a blue precipitate. Only one cation will produce a blue precipitate, and that is copper. So this will be copper hydroxide, all right? And this metal will be copper, all right? So A react with nitric acid to give us E. Please write a nitrate in the question for your notes taking. And E contains calcium ion as it forms insoluble white precipitate C with sodium hydroxide. So C is calcium hydroxide. We have C out already. E, hence, it will be calcium nitrate because we already know the anion here is a nitrate. We don't know the method, but now we do. So E is calcium nitrate. And A is definitely calcium because it is a metal as stated in the question. Another set of metal with nitric acid producing B nitrate. I don't know what metal. Ion, hence, I put it with sodium hydroxide and it gives us a blue precipitate, and hence it is copper. So D is copper hydroxide and B is copper nitrate. So this metal is copper. So generally, copper will not react with dilute acid at room temperature and pressure. But once you heat it, it will react. An unknown gas A and a colorless solution B were produced from the reaction when a colorless solution C reacts with HCl. So it's also an acid reaction. This gas will form a white precipitate when bubbled in calcium hydroxide. Do y'all know that calcium hydroxide is lime water? So if you know that calcium hydroxide is lime water, then you will know that A is CO2. So let's move on. The colorless solution B did not give any visible reaction when reacted with aqueous ammonia, but it produced a pungent smell when warmed NaOH is added to a sample of B. So a pungent smell is generally ammonia gas in our syllabus. Yes, there are other gases that will also give pungent smell, but they are not colorless gas, all right? So if this is ammonia gas, then this colorless solution B will contain ammonium ion. So calcium hydroxide is lime water, so A is carbon dioxide. B produce ammonia gas with warm sodium hydroxide, so B contains ammonium ion, and hence B is ammonium chloride because it is produced after reacting with hydrochloric acid. The salt solution that is produced after reacting with hydrochloric acid is a chloride, and hence B is ammonium chloride. Since C produces CO2 with acid, it contains carbonate ion. So A is ammonium carbonate. Please take note, which test will produce ammonia gas? So there are two tests that will produce ammonia gas, nitrate, and one is the test for ammonium. So both these two tests, you have to use warmed NaOH, but however, for this, you have to add aluminium powder or aluminium strips. Cation will produce a white precipitate in sodium hydroxide and aqueous ammonia. So there are basically 4 cation that will produce a white precipitate: zinc, calcium, aluminium, and lead. These are the 4 white precipitate that we need to study in our syllabus. Zinc will be soluble in both sodium hydroxide and aqueous ammonia. Calcium is the only one that is insoluble in sodium hydroxide. As for aluminium and lead, they are soluble in sodium hydroxide and insoluble in aqueous ammonia. If you are a little bit confused here, please go back to the table, memorize the identification test, and you will get what I'm talking about. If you're still confused, feel free to drop Mrs. Chu a message, okay? Lastly, acidified silver aqueous solution. The most commonly used is silver nitrate. It's used to test for chloride ions because all chlorides will not form a precipitate except silver chloride and lead chloride. So yes, you are also able to use acidified lead aqueous solution to test for chloride ion. For sulfate ion, we use acidified barium aqueous solution. A very common one will be acidified barium nitrate. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and take small steps in your revision and watch how all your efforts will snowball into consistent good grades. Bye-bye.